welcome to yet another gaming podcast, episode 2, with your host Tim Schaefer here and co-host Ben.
What's up?
First segment here we're going to have is just gaming news, and then we're going to go into games we've been playing recently, and then segment 3 we're going to go into a little bit of, I guess, our history as gamers, just sort of big moments throughout our life that really sort of formed what we play now and why our gaming tastes are the way they are, I guess. We were talking a little before I started recording and about Jack Tretton leaving PlayStation, and that I just don't care. So that's I gotta say about that.
I haven't really heard anybody talk about it. It's weird.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it seems like it would be huge news, but no one cares. So I don't know what that means. The PS4 is doing awesome, so it's not like they're not relevant right now. So I don't know. And I mean, he bombed it. I just thought about that too. Like he made E3, like laid down the gauntlet, and like basically everything Microsoft said, he just reversed it all, and it was a huge thing. Everybody cheering, clapping, and everything. So it was like
that was a
moment.
really smart move because I think they were planning on doing a lot of the same things Microsoft was going to do with DRM and stuff.
Yeah.
I think they were.
I don't think it was like very last moment, because that's kind of, it'd be too hard to like prepare. But I think like definitely they were thinking about it and wanting to do it. But I don't think it's as far as like the hour before. Like it definitely was like a few weeks of like, okay, we're not going to do this. I don't think it was immediate though, because you would have to, the amount of work that would have to go into changing your floor room, like in terms of what you're gonna say on the floor, like you couldn't do that in a couple hours.
He's been with Tretton's been with Sony since '95. I didn't realize it's been that long.
He's actually
what
PlayStation started. Yeah, that's the PS1, and I remember that too. He was really big when they were announcing Final Fantasy VII, because that was the big sort of game. That was why PlayStation 1 started selling. Is they had a little conference showcase. I don't know if it was E3 or not. I think it actually was the E3, and they were showing off Final Fantasy VII. He was on stage there and talking about it. So that was a big moment for him. I think that was like the very first sort of, okay, people somewhat know who he is, and that was his. So he's been there a long time.
Maybe he's just tired of it.
I has a ton of money, so I'm just curious why he'd leave. But DirectX 12 is coming out, and the big major thing it's doing now is it's supporting the big API. Isn't that what it's doing? Allowing to where basically it takes the stress off of the graphics card and makes it a little more CPU intensive, or is that what's exactly going on?
DirectX 12. I don't really have high hopes for it, honestly. I think they're just going to build on 11 and add some new features. I don't think it's going to function the same way as Mantle is. And I don't think DirectX in 3 or 4 years. And now, since Mantle's about to come out, they decide they want to put some stuff
I see it as a little update. I don't it's not like the jump from 9 to 10 or 10 to 11. Because you remember the jump from 10 to 11. I mean, there was a pretty clear difference. Like, you definitely...
Oh, yeah, it was huge.
You were messing with that. But I think with this, I think it's just a tiny upgrade. More sort of just making sure your hardware is just utilized more correctly than it was before. Because with DirectX, like, basically when you're using OpenGL, right, it's a lot more sort of freedom when it comes to making sure, but the problem is like the more freedom you have, the more like every game's going to be completely different, and like it's way harder to work with, but you're able to do what you want to do, like, if that makes sense. But with DirectX, it's sort of limited but a little more successful because of that. So I don't know, it's kind of like a
Microsoft's hinting that it's kind of going to, well, I guess they're going to try to imitate Mantle a little bit as far as taking the load off the GPU, which they might. I don't know.
I mean, with my current
hardware's not going to support it, so you have to wait until new hardware comes out to even get DirectX 12.
Oh, so you actually have to have certain hardware that's like you
Yeah,
couldn't just.
nVidia won't support it until the 800 series comes out.
Okay. So you do actually have to have specific, like you do have to buy new specific hardware for DirectX 12 to work.
Yeah, it's only going to work on newer hardware.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. That sucks. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the case with 11 or 10.
I don't even remember.
It
Yeah,
definitely wasn't, because like I remember when even 10 came out, or 11, like yeah, some cards didn't support it, but if you had a modern card, it was going to run the newer DirectX. Like,
well, DirectX, they didn't even announce or hint to anybody that 12 was going to be released until all the current hardware was already developed. So nobody knew to put that support in there.
okay, I got you. So before, they probably had a lot. They were doing it like already having support for it, and it was coming out in a year or two, and so definitely cards were just supporting it. So when it came out, you were good to go. But with this was just sort of like all of a sudden, and unless you just bought a new piece of hardware that did support it once they announced it, you're basically kind of screwed.
Yeah, pretty much. But after it even comes out, you won't see a lot of software or a lot of games that actually take advantage of it until probably a year or so down the road. I mean, it's not going to be like immediately, oh, I got to have this. No, they're not going to be. We're still going to be using 11 for a while, even though.
Okay. So yeah, I guess it's nothing too much to talk about then, because I guess I'm not too worried about it.
Mantle is going to be pretty sweet, I guess. I mean, but only on lower end stuff. If you already got high end AMD hardware, you're not going to see a difference.
Well, you
probably.
just said lower end. The problem is you still have to buy new hardware. So why would you buy new lower end hardware?
I'm talking about Mantle. Mantle works with what's already out.
Okay.
It already works with. You can get the beta right now and use it on AMD hardware.
I guess I need to do that then.
Yeah, it's definitely worth looking at.
What is it going to help with like?
You'd have to look and see. I think Jay's 2 Cents did a little demonstration of it on some lower end AMD hardware, and on the lower end, you saw a noticeable difference. But when you got up to like the R9 290, you didn't really see much.
Okay. And then, like you said, the GTX 800 series cards are about to be here.
Well, they're saying it was supposed to come out in Q1 of this year, which is almost over.
Yeah.
But when did the 700 series come out? Like October of last year?
Yeah, it was last year. Towards the end, like not end, but yeah, I would say end of Q3 probably. I think
they usually wait a little longer.
September, October. Yeah, that's very quick. Like, how did they even go through those cards that quickly? Like,
they were releasing them like
what was
crazy.
It like weekly?
Every week a new one was coming out. Started with the Titan like a long time before the 780. Then the 780 and 780 Ti are on par with the Titan, so the Titan's pretty much pointless now.
I mean, are they really selling like that crazy to where they need to even do that, or? Like, I don't get the point of even doing that, though. Like, unless they really
their sales are up a lot.
Okay.
They sell a lot of cards. Well, they have been lately, for sure. But I don't think... People have speculated that the 800 series is about to come out. I don't think it's going to be for another 4 or 5 months. I'm probably wrong. I usually am. Because the 790 hasn't come out yet, and you know the 790 is going to come out.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a dual 780.
But whenever, in the past, whenever that 90 card came out, it was pretty much here's the 90, and then a card came out pretty soon after, though.
Yeah, it may.
Like, that's what usually happened in the past. So if a 90 is gonna hit soon, it's literally like I'd imagine
just a lot faster than they have in the past, though.
I just I don't see the point. I mean, I guess they're making money, but to the consumer, like. What? So buy a card and 2 weeks later you're already freaking releasing another? Like, give me a little time.
But the new one is going to be like an entirely different architecture. Like the 500, 600, and 700 series is usually like a rebranding of the series before, like a refresh. Like 700 series is a refresh of the 600 series, but the 800 series is supposed to be a completely new architecture. It's called Maxwell they were supposed to come up with a new process to have a 20 nanometer GPU, but I
Okay,
think
so what is that? The 20 nm. What is that?
it's I'm it's hard to explain. It has to do with the size, of it, how much you could fit on it.
Okay.
It was supposed
Like the board of the card?
No, like the actual GPU.
Okay.
GPUs are tiny, but it was all whole new architecture. What it was supposed to be, but now there's been some problems with that process, and it's only going to be I can't remember, but it's not going to be 20. It's going to be a little more than that. But it's still supposed to be a whole new architecture, and the 800 series is what's going to support DirectX 12. So maybe that's why it's all the rush to get it out.
Okay. Xbox One will be supporting DirectX 12, so do know that.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool on the Xbox actually.
So I mean, at least they were thinking. Like, it showed that they were thinking, okay, we're gonna put the parts in the system. Like, at least they're gonna be able to update it to where it supports DirectX 12. Like, it shows they just weren't completely retarded when they're making the system. The HDMI converter would be released for the N64. You were saying that's an actual. What do you mean by converter?
What it does, it takes the video output before it gets turned into RGB. It takes it from the N64 and puts out actual HDMI.
And this is what you're soldering onto the system?
Yes.
Okay.
You solder onto the system. I don't know where exactly because I haven't seen any schematics or anything. It's not out yet. Let's see who is
I would imagine it'd be at the little input right there.
It goes inside of it. I know that. But I just don't know where exactly. I haven't never opened up N64, so I don't know where everything is.
Me either.
I don't know where the video processing is and all that, but it goes. Whenever it comes out, I will get my hands on it and we'll find out.
Okay. Speaking of Nintendo, 2 new things. So, God, I'm gonna murder his name. the Mega Man creator, the guy's been working with Mega Man for like 30 years.
Can you say it?
I know Inafune is his last name, but I can never say his first name. Kenji? I don't know. Anyway, but you know what I'm talking about. So they've been working on Mighty Number 9 for a while, and they won't be coming out till like next year, which is kind of, they raised like $4 million. Everyone's sort of like hyped and stuff like that. But they knew instantly when they were even putting, like kickstarting it that it wasn't going to be for a while. And I think they said 2015 right there. So everyone sort of kickstarted, and yet here we are, wait 2 years. So for the game to actually come out, which that's it. That's a normal 2 or 3 years for a game like this. That's what it should be, but it just kind of sucks, like just waiting forever for Mighty Number 9. So awesome in the meantime, and it's just for the 3DS though, but they're coming out with the studio they're working with. It's gonna be called what is it here? Gunvolt, but I forget the full name. It's actually like 3 words and then Gunvolt's the end. But it's just for the 3DS, which that's what I was surprised about. Like, I wonder why he's picking the 3DS. I guess because it's probably the fastest selling handheld right now. Like, just because it sells so much. So he's like, okay.
Knows he'll sell some units on that.
Yeah. I was just wondering why he picked Nintendo of all things. Like, that's
the kind of games you want to see on a 3DS too.
Oh yeah. Like, that would look so pretty. Like, and I use my 3D like 90% of the time when I'm using the 3DS. A lot of people complain about 3D.
Yeah, you're the only person I know that says
I love it.
Everybody else gets a headache.
Well, I think that's just first reaction, right? So they get it, they first look at it, you're not really looking at the right angle, you get a headache, that's sort of end of it. But if you really sit there and like, the biggest issue is that you just have to have it in the right angle. So you can't really move a lot when you're playing, and that's what kind of sucks. But, sit down on the couch, get comfortable, hold it in a somewhat still position, and you'll be fine. But I think that's the biggest issue is a lot of people are moving it too much, and they're getting that extreme ghost effect going on. Because it's not a side-by-side image coming together making 3D. What the 3DS does, it's actually layers. So if it's not angled right, it just looks really wonky. And the XL definitely helps with that, with the bigger 3DS. But I'm not the only one. I surprisingly, like, I've been, listening to podcast stuff. Actually, Pete Dorr, he plays all his 3DS games always in 3D, and he comments on that a lot too, and saying that it's what he loves most about the system. And I agree. Like, every game that I'm playing, like, it just looks way better. Like, it just makes the graphics just look amazing when you're playing it in 3D. I don't know. I love it. Also, Little Mac is coming out in the next Smash Bros, and I'm like super 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 excited because I'm a huge Smash Bros like crazy fan. And side note with Smash Brothers too, I didn't know if you saw, but they Nintendo finally like spoke out, because do you remember last year they were trying to get Melee at Evo? Did you hear about that?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And
that was a mistake.
Well, at the very last moment, Nintendo changed his mind and allowed it, right? But at first they said no, you can't do it, blah blah. And it was a charity event too, because they were raising money and giving it to some like children
that
charity.
Made it 10 times worse.
I know. And Nintendo is like, no, you're not streaming our game, blah blah blah. And so literally, so a bunch of people got onto. It was either Twitch, it was on Twitch, on Ustream, a bunch of things, sending emails like crazy to them, and they were having like some of these major Twitch channels were having like thousands of people in the room, and they were all just like donating money to the cause and really just spamming Nintendo. And Nintendo finally, like, it was an hour before Evo sort of started, they're like, okay, we'll allow it. And then nothing really else. They just like kind of said, okay, we'd allow it. But they didn't really say, okay, they'll continue to support next year. What's going to happen next year with that? So they finally did that. So the fans sort of wanted that moment. But so people are reaching out to Nintendo again and saying, hey, can we do Evo again this year with Melee and stuff like that? And Nintendo finally made an official response. And I want to find it here and read it because this is amazing. They are finally like giving Nintendo fans what they want, because they have always been like this for like a decade now, it seems. Like they never have any communication with fans. Like, if a fan wants something Nintendo related, you're never going to hear anything back from Nintendo. That's just kind of how they are, and it's real dumb. But it's just a big moment. Not even like, even if you're not a fan of Smash, because it's just showing that Nintendo is starting to break down their walls. And that's like really good news. But it's not even just going to be Evo. They're allowing it for MLG as well. And so the official response here, the fact that Super Smash Bros. Melee is being used to help determine champion status for competitive players so many years after it was released is a testament to the strong fan passion for both this individual game and the Super Smash Bros. Franchise overall. This is a 13-year-old game, mind you. So they're happy, they're showing that they're happy. Wow, people are still playing this game, and it's still a huge competitive. Because last year at Evo, it was the biggest game. It raised the most money. Most people were a part of it. I think it literally like raised more money than all the other games combined. And you had like Street Fighter 4, you had Marvel vs. Capcom 3, all these big fighters, Injustice, and Melee just trumps it all. And it just shows like people are just still huge like Smash Bros. Fanatics. And so it says Nintendo is happy to work with both Evo and Major League Gaming to help their tournaments come to life using the game. And we hope it helps make their events enjoyable for video game fans everywhere. Nintendo will be releasing a new Smash Bros. Game for both Wii U and 3DS this year. And last year this year it'll be $15,000 for whoever wins at MLG. So they're full on supporting it, and it's not just for one event. They're basically same with any event. So because they really had to strive just for Evo itself, but they weren't able to do it with any other event though as well.
I don't even understand why they wouldn't want people to do it.
I don't get it.
Why would you not want your fighting game to be played tournament style?
I'm pretty sure it was like they're in this like Japanese mindset when it comes to like legalities or something. They were thinking that maybe they didn't they were allowed to play it, right? But the problem was is they weren't allowed to stream it. Well, no event, like you don't want to throw an Evo and have a closed door Evo tournament. Like they wouldn't do that. So it's either we stream it or we don't do it at all. So the issue was they just didn't want it being like it's a fucking 12-year-old game too. It's not like it's a new game and people are like streaming this thing and it's ruining the game for people or something. Like it's a fucking fighting game that's like over a decade old. I don't see where the issue would come in. But anyway, I'm just really happy that they finally just like are letting them do it for good. And if they're also promoting the new Smash Brothers, then obviously you can expect that to also be a part in the fighting community. So this is what I'm getting at though. So if Melee, a 12-year-old game, was the #1 fighter thing with that, what about when this next Smash Brothers comes out? Like, it shows you how many people are actually like excited for Smash Brothers. And they showed a trailer too, I remember, because I was watching Evo, and right at the end of it and all like that, they showed like a new trailer just for the Evo specifically. So, and everyone's cheering and everything, and you're talking like thousands of people in the crowd watching this Evo event. So there's, I think when Smash Bros. Come out, it's going to be their game. It's going to sell a ton, and hopefully it's going to be like how Melee was like back in the day of like 2004-ish, to where it was just it was so huge with so many fighting tournaments going on. So I think it's on a comeback. So it's really exciting for me because I love that game and I want to get competitive with it.
At this point for Nintendo, it has to do good.
Yeah.
They need that.
So, and talking Smash Brothers, I was talking about this a little before the show too, is Sakurai is actually injured, and I have no idea what the hell's going on, but apparently it was starting in his left arm, and he had trouble moving his arm and wrist, and now it's starting in his right, and that sounds like some sort of bone disease or something, like, like what the hell's going on? And he's not able to play the game a lot and really get like it down, and I'm hoping it's not gonna not halt development, but slow it down even. But they are working with Bandai Namco, and I mean they make they do Tekken, they do the DBZ fighters. They definitely know their fighting shit, so I think it'll be fine even with him hurt. I don't think it's actually gonna slow anything down. It's just gonna make it harder. So I don't know. Anything else happened recently? Gaming news? Maybe talk about?
No. Not that's worth talking about, I don't think.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna take a little break here, and we're gonna come back and go into games we've been playing recently. See you guys in a bit. Alright, welcome back, and here gonna go into games we've been playing recently, and Ben's gonna kick it off here. And why don't you go ahead with whatever you've been playing recently?
The last thing I played was some Sniper Ghost Warrior 2 for a little bit. That game it's not the best shooter by any means.
I'm trying to think of what you're even talking about.
Um,
Is it the sniper games? Like,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm thinking? Okay.
But you have Ghost Warrior 2, and then which is first person. Then you have Sniper Elite, which is third person.
Sniper Elite is what I was thinking.
Ghost Warrior 2 is first person, and it runs on the Cry engine.
Okay. I haven't played that.
The sniping is fantastic, the same way that was in the first one. But when it gets to close quarters combat, it goes downhill fast. So you have to try to just avoid that at all costs.
Do you still always have to use a sniper? I mean, how's the game play? I don't really.
You're a sniper most of the time.
Okay.
You're sniping for majority of the game. I mean, I haven't beat that one yet, but for most of the game, yeah, you're sniping.
Are you like going over a huge terrain, like going to all these different spots, sniping at everyone, then continuing on, or is it like Is it like level based?
It's kind of like you go from point to point, like area to area, and you post up in a sniping position without being seen. If you're seen, then you have to do some close quarters crap. So you want to avoid that. But most of the time, you're set up in a sniping position,
Okay.
sniping away.
So should I play it? Would you recommend it, I guess, is the better question.
If you like sniping in first-person shooter games, yes, I'll recommend it. If that bores you, then no.
How the graphics? Well, it's using the Cry engine. Is it Cry engine 3 it's using?
Yeah, and it's well optimized for PC. It runs smooth.
Okay.
Really smooth.
Is it on consoles as well, or just PC?
Yeah, it's on console.
Okay. Xbox 360, PS3, I imagine.
I think it's both. Yes, I know it's on one or the other. I think it's both because the other one came out on both.
Okay. What else here? You finished Assassin's Creed 4?
Yeah, finally. I was so disappointed at the end.
Why? Story-wise?
Well, I mean, you're building up to this climax, and story was actually getting kind of good, and then it's over. I mean, it got to where it had my attention, and then that was it.
Okay, so it wasn't that it was actually a bad ending. It was just the fact that you finally just got into it, and then it just automatically just sort of ends. It just cut.
Yeah, I was so tied up into it, like every aspect of the game, and it took a long time for me to get to that point, and then it ended. Which it was a long game. There was so much to do. I didn't even do half of what all you can do in that game.
Is there any sort of plot holes or anything like you're sort of left questioning, or?
No, I mean it pretty much fills everything in. It just I wish they would have done more with that character.
But yeah, I mean Assassin's Creed 4, man, it looks amazing. Like graphically wise, I think it's one of the better looking games out right now. Like especially the water physics, beautiful.
So much to do, and a lot of things it does kind of plays off how Far Cry 3 works.
Yeah, because you can go to all the different islands, kill the animals, get their skin and stuff. I was totally thinking Far Cry whenever I was playing that.
And the way you take the castles,
yeah,
little islands, it works about the same way as Far Cry does. I thought that was pretty neat, the way they did that.
When I was playing it, I'm just like, man, like it's kind of a little too much like Far Cry. I'm like, not in a bad way, but I'm just like, I definitely see where they got their influence from.
Yeah, and there's crafting like in Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
I didn't hardly craft anything. I just built my ship up.
The boat upgrades, yeah, exactly. They're actually pretty sweet. I like messing with that.
It was almost maxed out, and I planned on maxing it out. I didn't know the game was about to end abruptly.
It's a big open world. You can actually go to little islands, and you can find these little orbs, and they'll usually be like one on an island. You just have to find where it's at. And so it really gives you an incentive to try and collect them all. And that I like messing with that. Surprisingly.
You got the shipwrecks you can explore. But I have hate being underwater in a game ever since Mario. I hate water levels. If I don't have to do it, I'm not going to do it. I did one of them, and that was it. I was done.
With Mario 64 and underwater, I was still, I guess, too much of a kid to where, like, well, I wasn't a kid, but I was still just scared for whatever reason, like especially
Because you
with the
think you're
eel.
about to drown. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I gotta drown. I gotta hurry up. And I hate it.
Yeah, it's panic. It's like, yeah. Um, Speaking of that, panic, Dark Souls 2 is about to come out. Um,
Oh,
well, it's out for consoles right now, but not for PC. But I, I just don't know. I didn't play Demon Souls. I played Dark Souls, but I suck, man.
I
Like,
played Demon
I
Souls
suck.
for like 30 minutes, and I probably died 30 times in the first 30 minutes. I didn't understand. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Yeah,
Somebody recommended it to me, and I borrowed it from a friend, and I started playing it. I'm like, what is this? This is terrible. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's like punishment.
It's not even fun punishment though, because okay, like let's say
No.
like Mega Man or even Ninja Gaiden games like that, right? They're tough, really tough
Ninja Gaiden
games,
can be
but
really
they're
fun.
still fun. Like with this game, I'm not enjoying it at all. I'm just constant pissed. I'm just constant
It
like.
takes a lot of patience, and it's a
Yeah.
huge learning curve. I can see somebody getting good at it and eventually enjoying it, but
No, I put way too many hours into it.
I don't have
Like
that kind of time.
I dumped because I keep like, no, I want to love this game. I want to love this game. I put like 40 hours into it, right? And then I go and look at somebody else. They're 2 hours in, and they're way further than even I am. And I'm just like, okay, like I just have to admit that I suck at it, and I just can't play it. I don't know, man. It hits me hard because I didn't. It makes me think I just suck ass at video games. But it's like I've always thought I was sort of good, like.
The
But
first thing you do is a boss battle.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it. Like once you know what to do, like with that boss battle in the beginning there, like I can easily beat them because I know exactly what I need to do, and I guess that's what it is. People are just knowing, and that's what makes it easy. But the problem is getting to that point of knowing exactly what you need to do involves dying how many times? Like this isn't like Mega Man or something to where it's like Twitch and maybe you just didn't like push the button at the right time or something. This is like you have to know exactly where to go, exactly where to hit them, exactly when to. I don't know. It's too. I can't do it. I can't do it. I just. So when the second game comes out, like I'm really tempted to play it, but at the same time, I already know I'm just gonna give up because it's just. I don't know.
I could get to where I could enjoy it, but I don't have that kind of time.
I think that's the biggest thing too. I would just have to invest a lot of time because I invested a lot in the first and I got fucking nowhere. And the thing is like I just don't have around 150 hours to even somewhat be good at a game. Because okay, like again with Ninja Gaiden, right? You're playing for a few hours until you finally get good. Like, but it's still only like maybe 3 or 4 hours of getting it down, and then okay, now I got it. But this is like 30 hours later, you're still dying left and right.
Yeah, 10 hours later, you're still learning how to pull.
It's too much. I can't do it. But anyway, so I played the Elder Scrolls Online beta. I really wanted to talk about this. I got another beta key for this weekend, but I'm not going to bother with it. I already played what I need to play. Okay, so at first I was insanely like because I was looking at screenshots and videos, I was just kind of and other people's thoughts. That was the big thing. Is like people were just saying it really didn't feel like Elder Scrolls and like that. So I wasn't looking that forward to it, and so I played it. And whenever I first started, I'm like, this feels nice, and it kind of looked awesome there in the very beginning. You start in a prison just like you do in other Elder Scrolls. In the game engine, it looked nice and everything. Like it definitely felt like an Elder Scrolls game. And then right whenever you hit right whenever you leave the prison, hit the open world, it feels like the cheapest MMO. Like I've played a million free MMOs way better than this shit. Like
It feels like it was thrown together.
yeah, it's very barren. Like it's like
I was
playing
afraid
a PS1 RPG or something like, but like trying to go 3D. Like how those older first 3D games were, where like you would have a tree here, a bush there, not really too much going on. And like that's how it looked, and it looked really muddy, and the tree textures and everything was just horrible. And their excuse is, well, it's an MMO and it's a lot going on at once, and so
That's not
they
a
have
good
to downscale it. It's 2014, like 10 years ago. I understand, right? But it's not an excuse when I have Final Fantasy 14 installed, and I know without a fact that game looks beautiful. And you have way more players playing that than this little beta. So I don't want to hear that shit. Like, I would have believed it if maybe I never played 14, but I'm playing 14 and it's one of the best looking games I've played, and it's a full MMO world. Like, so yeah, it's a bullshit. Like, it just looks really downscaled, dude. Skyrim looks better. Oblivion looks better than this game. Like, I'm telling you, Oblivion looks better. So I don't
look the game.
I don't know, like, what the fuck, like, but it's not even the same developers too. It's different. It's a different developer making the game, so it's not.
See, that's probably the main problem.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel like it. So whenever you're like in combat, like you kind of go through the enemies. Like it doesn't even like. You kind of have to have that hit detection when you're like in first person and you're hitting monsters. Like if you don't even feel them and you can just kind of run straight through them and everything just sort of goes through, like there's no detection there. It feels real off for an Elder Scrolls game at least. So it just feels like a cheap MMO is exactly what it feels like. So, and the monsters are not good looking at all. Like again, Final Fantasy 14, the monsters, I can sit there and like zoom on a monster, and I've posted screenshots on Facebook just of like various monsters because I'll sit there and be like, man, look at all the detail they've put into it. It'll be like a little beetle you'll see on the ground in 14, and you'll just sit there and stare at it and see all the different colors of the beetle and all the little work put into it. And then you look at this game and it's like this big, like, it looks like, like Xbox 360 games, how they try to get away with things looking good by just making it look like brown and muddy and smudgy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this looks like. And everything looks so bland. And I'm just like, ugh. I was so turned off. Anyway, huge disappointment, but, well, not huge disappointment because I kind of didn't want to get into another MMO. But I do love Elder Scrolls, that's the thing. So, but I don't know how like other Elder Scrolls fans are taking this, because
not good, not good at all.
Yeah, because I am hearing other complaints from other people as well that says so. I think overall, and they're charging $15 a month too, and it's like $69.99 for the game, and then if you want the collector edition, you're paying like $100 just so you can have a certain class. So they're like locking a class where you have to spend $100 to play as them.
That's I hate that so much. That's one of the main things I hate about gaming in general right now.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying. So I'm just like, fuck this game. Nope. So they gave me another weekend free. I'm done. I don't give a shit. Anything else have you started the you said you're gonna install Liberation HD. Have you started that yet or no?
Yeah, I put like an hour into it.
How is it?
It's slow starting.
I just watched some videos of it in gameplay and it just didn't look good. I don't know.
I mean, I've heard people say it was good, so I'm gonna give it some more time.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna finish it no matter how bad it is, just because it's Assassin's Creed.
And it's still based in 3 though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're in New Orleans, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. I played another beta though, Titanfall, and okay, so again at first I was not looking forward to it because I've been playing the shit out of shoot. Well, I've been getting tired of shooters, especially lately, because they just keep more piling on, and they all play exactly the fucking same. And I'm just like, I'm done. The problem is too, and I'm to blame because I keep fucking buying them, and I play it like a week or two, and I'm just like, I don't even touch it anymore. Like, fucking I gotta stop that anyway, because I keep having this hope, I keep having, well, I really want to get into a shooter. This new one came out, everyone's gonna be playing it, I get all excited, I play it, and it's the same shit. I get bored of it so quick, and I never play it again. So Titanfall though, so I was thinking the same shit, and it's the people that it's Respawn, but they worked the last Modern Warfare 2 was their last game, so they did the first and second one.
That was actually a good Call of Duty, in my opinion.
The first one was amazing too, so they were both good. I didn't like the third one, and
I didn't either.
They left. It's a different
Two had a lot of replay value, especially with more than one person. That's why I liked it so much.
So I get into it, and dude, like, okay, so right when you start Titanfall, it'll like start, hey, you want to go through this tutorial, and so of course I go through it. And when you're playing this tutorial, it's giving you all these things as teaching you all these, like, how to run up walls, how to do all these different actions. Things in video games you've never done before. You think you've run up to a wall in a video game before? I'm telling you, Titan does it different and better. Like, it feels completely new. Like, it doesn't feel like, like Brink had it, or maybe Mirror's Edge and shit like that. This is like...
Except it works.
This works well. Like,
Mirror's Edge worked, but it took a while to get it to work.
Yeah, you had to be perfect with it, right? So if you were like a little off of a certain view angle, you weren't gonna do it, right? With this game,
so bad game.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun when you actually pulled off the right move.
But you know what I mean? Like when you were trying to run up a wall and then having to jump and run on another wall, if you weren't looking at it at the exact perfect angle, you would just fall. And it's fucking, yeah. This does it, man. It does it so well. You don't even have to be looking at what you're doing. Like, you're going to go up against the wall and you're going to jump into it. You're controlling the character no matter where your camera is. So it's not based off of your camera. It's just based off of you controlling the guy. And your camera can look wherever the fuck it wants to look. So I think that's what they did right, where the other games went wrong. Because all those other games, you had to look exactly what you were doing the whole time. And then how the fuck are you supposed to be shooting all this other shit when you have to be like in a perfect angle trying to run up these certain things, right? So it would have been impossible. So they definitely fixed that. And it's, I don't know, dude. Like jumping wall to wall to wall and getting on like buildings and then shooting rocket launchers at these big titans, just as a normal, like, sort of, they call them pilots, but just a normal person, you can get kills pretty damn easily if you're really smart, because it's no longer like you're going into a building and it's just like you may go up some stairs or you may hide off in a little corner. This is like everyone running all over the map, like it's all just one big playing field, no matter where the fuck it is, from the top highest point to the lowest, to every little nook and cranny. People are going to be running through it, and it feels so amazing. I was so shocked. And then, of course, like when you get into the Titan, it actually feels really epic, especially when you're playing with a controller. I think this is a shooter you want to play with a controller, because the vibration plays a big part in the game. Like it's like playing like Dirt. You know how like you feel all the little tiny bumps?
Yeah.
The vibration, that's what this game does. And it's kind of why I wanted Xbox One controller, because I think that controller has a bunch of like rumble things in really awesome spots and takes full advantage of rumble. And so I'd really like to play Titanfall with that controller, because
how much are they? Like $100 a pop?
No, I think they're I think they're the normal new controller price, which is $60, which is way too fucking much. But I don't think it's any more than, I think the Xbox 360 controllers are now like $29.99 or something like that. So these controllers are going to be $60.
When the Xbox One was announced, that's like the only positive thing I can think of. Like, yes, a new controller.
Yeah, exactly. A new controller for my computer. I thought the same. Yeah. But man, it like a controller feels damn nice with this game. I know it's a shooter and you want to do mouse and keyboard, but just play it with a controller or something. You'll see what I mean. Like, because you can feel all the little sort of bumps, especially when you're like running up buildings and stuff like that. You kind of have to get a feel with the character, and you can't get that feel with a mouse and keyboard. That's what kind of, like, I wonder how they could go about doing that, like in a mouse and keyboard, but getting a controller feel. Like, I don't know.
Can't.
Yeah. Anyway.
People that are good with the mouse and keyboard will argue with you to the death about which is more comfortable. I know people that can't even play with a controller. They play with the mouse and keyboard so long, and they're awesome at it.
I can go back and forth pretty easily. I'm better at aiming with a mouse for sure, but I'm good enough with a controller where I think I'm fine. But I'm still better with a mouse when it comes to aiming. But with this game, mainly because like the way it plays and the weapons it has, it's not too precise of a shooter. It's not like Counter-Strike where like every little bullet, like you have to aim it perfectly. Because the guns you have in this, like you have I know it sounds really stupid, but hear me out how it works first. But you have a auto lock-on pistol, right? So this is where it works really cool in this game, though, how it does. So
I guess it would have to, because when you're jumping around and stuff.
Yeah, but you have to basically be it counts as a primary weapon. So if you have this pistol, it's not secondary. That's your main, and you won't be able to have your assault rifle, right? This will be your main thing, and you have to be extremely close to the person for it to actually lock, so you can actually get the kill with it. So the issue comes in. This is more meant for the players like running on the walls and basically being super agile, right? You have to get close. It's kind of like a shotgun. Just think of it that way. Because shotguns are basically instant kills anyway. So you have to be really close, and then you can sort of zoom it, and then it'll take like a second or two, and then you'll be able to get a perfect headshot. It'll like lock onto the head. But you have to be in a close enough range. But think if you just had an assault rifle, you'd just be able to aim and shoot, and you'd kill them way quicker. But at the same time, you can't really be having an assault rifle being super agile. Like, it just doesn't work that well when you have this pistol. So it's a matter of how you play the game, which is pretty neat because, again, like, no other shooter does this. Like, just the way they and then the Titans, again, they feel super epic. Like, once you get into a Titan, like, it grabs you and puts you into the machine, and then, like, it's just, like, rumbling like crazy, and you feel like it's like you just feel its heaviness, and the weapons you have on it, like, so you have like a special ability to where, let's say someone's firing at you, you can put up a shield where it'll catch all the bullets, and then you can shoot it all back at them. It's like an ability they have if you pick that ability, right? So there's only like 2 Titans you can play in the beta, but there's 8 total, and they all have all these different abilities. You can have that. You can also have you can pick between the 2 abilities of being able to so when your Titan gets really destroyed and you have to get out of it, you can do one where you can eject at the top of it and your Titan will explode, and anything like really close to it will just die with it. Or you can have one, but the downside to that, let's say it explodes and you shoot out the top, well, people know you're going to be shooting at the top, right? So they're instantly going to aim up to you and try to kill you when you shoot out the top of that Titan. So you can have, instead of having it blow up, you can go into cloak mode. So when you shoot up, you'll just be invisible. That way, they'll shoot you, but you won't get the explode feature. So it has all these little pros and cons with all these different skills, and you really got to decide what you want to use and play it. So, like, every player on the battlefield is very distinct from one another with all these different abilities. So, I mean, it
looks awesome. I've been watching a lot of videos.
It's amazing.
It looks great. It looks like a breath of fresh air for shooters.
I was just so happy because...
And shooters were getting not bad. It's been the same thing for like 6 years.
Yeah, they've been getting better and better, right? Like, technically. But it's just the fact of it's been too Philly of the same. Like, we just need something different. So.
Like, I got to where I cannot stand a linear first-person shooter. I like sandbox stuff like Far Cry and things like that. I could not play another Call of Duty. I can't do it.
Where it's like really tight corridor, like a single path, and you just sort of walk.
Black Ops 2. You just like you're walking down a hallway the entire time.
Yeah. Um, I played South Park Stick of Truth, and man, it's fucking everything I wanted a South Park game to be.
Is it actually good?
Like insanely, amazingly good, and like it's literally as if you're playing the show, like 1 billion%. It looks exactly like the show. If somebody walked in and started watching you playing, this isn't even an exaggeration. They would actually think you were watching an episode, because it's the voice acting, the graphics, it is the show, right? So the only way you know it's a game is like, let's say a little icon shows up of like, hit A or X or something like that if you're trying to open a chest or something. But outside of that, it's as if you're playing a show, and the comedy is like hit every single time. Like it's a full blown episode, but 20 hours long. Like there's so much humor. I'm just dying laughing at like every single scene that's going on. And these aren't like just cut scenes I'm laughing at. These are just like you're walking down the street, you talk to somebody, or you'll be walking down the street, and they mapped out South Park map. This is the first time they actually mapped out the entire city of South Park to where like it's a legit show, because they never actually fully mapped out the city to where like here's where this house is, here's where Kyle's house is, here's where Cartman's house, here's where this store is. So Matt and Trey Park or whatever actually created this and actually mapped it all out. So you're actually walking through it like legitly, and it's just it's just a full canon like South Park experience. You'll knock on a door and try and go in, and like let's say like it's just a random house, and the door will open, and it'll just be like some dude fucking a donkey, and he'll run and go and shut the door real quick, and you just there's just insanely like crude humor in it. You can get summons in the game, and one of the summons is Mr. Slave, and and do you remember the episode where he just like sits on Paris Hilton, and just Paris Hilton just goes all the way inside of him, like through his asshole? Anyway, so you can summon him, and he will just go and just sit on whatever enemy you're fighting and just swallow him whole and kill him in one hit through his asshole. But like the music that plays too, and it's all like rainbowy colors, and he's just like ha, 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 and jumps, and the enemy just goes in his ass, and it's like, oh, it's so funny. Like it's I don't know, if you like South Park, it'd be like really dumb not to play this game.
That may be my next purchase.
Like I don't know, I love it. I think it's the best game I have installed on my computer right now for sure. And I'm taking my time too, because it is an RPG, and it's Paper Mario physics, right? Like the battle system. You know how, let's say you have to have a hammer to be able to hit the guys that have a spiky on their head, right? It sort of plays in that mechanics where you have to use certain weapons depending on what stance they're in or what they have equipped. And then whenever you hit the enemy, like it's time based. Like if you hit A just as the weapon's highest in the air, you'll hit extra damage, and then you'll also defend just like in Paper Mario. So whenever they hit you, if you hit A at the right time, you'll block the attack. So it plays just like Paper Mario with that. And then but it's way more in depth, like in terms of gear and your magic. Like it makes fun of Skyrim, because you have a dragon shout, but your dragon shout is a fart. So you can dragon shout things, like let's say you're in an environment and you're like, there's a part where you're going through the school, and you have to figure out how to get past this little, like there's a bunch of desks with like firecrackers in the middle, but if you use a dragon shout, you'll be able to fart the firecrackers and blow up the rest of the desk, and that's how you get past it. There's a lot of like little, and your magic is farts as well. So like you like Cartman will be like, you have to cup your fart, and you have to like do the joysticks in a certain like, just like a dragon shout on Skyrim. You gotta like push the thumbstick down, and then with the other thumbstick like hold it and try and find the right frequency, and then push up on the right thumbstick really quick, and then you'll do it. So it does that, but in this game you're cuffing a fart and then throwing it. Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing. I love it. And then that's really everything I want to talk to. Games been and playing recently. I'm about to get started on the second uh, Lords of Shadow. I just installed it. I haven't started it yet though.
I'm probably gonna start Metal Gear Rising. I gotta get that.
I have it. Dang, I should probably just try. I should play more of that. I got it whenever it came out on PC, and I'm like 4 hours in, and I love it. Oh my god, it's so good. That's
And
probably it.
Dirt 4 is probably about to be announced. They've been hinting at it for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Dirt 2 more than Dirt 3. Like I can still play Dirt 3, but I don't know.
I always went back to Dirt 2.
Yeah. I just like the feel of it more, and I think it actually looks better than 3.
The physics are different.
Yeah.
On Dirt 2 and 3, but yeah, on PC, I think it only has DirectX 10 on Dirt 2, but it just looks more clean.
It looks better, feels better, especially with the controller. Like Dirt 3 just didn't feel as good. Like the driving of it, or the like.
No, I liked all the rally events a lot because that's my favorite part about the whole game. But I didn't like on Dirt 3 that they you only had one kind of trophy truck. I didn't understand that. There just wasn't a lot of variety like 2.
Okay, my favorite thing to do in 2, and tell me if you do this, like go into the cockpit view, do a night race, and have it rainy, or just pick like a track where you know mud's gonna splash all onto the car, but at night, and it just like I can do that race like 5 million times, and I love it every time because just the way, like, I don't know, the graphics look so awesome. Like when you're just like going in all these little dips in the road, and you hit a puddle and water splashes all over your car, and then the windshield wipers are going, and you slightly smash into a wall, or someone runs into you and your windshield cracks a little here. It feels so realistic. Like, ooh, I love it.
I always use a cockpit view. That's what I like so much about the Codemaster racing games, the cockpit view. Like, gotten where I can't even drive on the outside view.
It's why I bought Grid 2, and I still don't play it, because it doesn't have.
That's why I didn't get Grid 2. They said no cockpit view. I said, well, I'm out. I'm done. Don't want it.
And they said too, like, because a lot of people were complaining, right? And they were saying, well, the people who are complaining are the few and far between. We didn't feel we really needed it, and da 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 da.
All of their games have cockpit views, great ones.
Yeah, but the problem is, Grid 2 is actually a really good game, and it's a huge improvement over the first, but it just doesn't have a cockpit view, and so I just can't enjoy it. Because everything else about the game is nice. It's awesome.
Dude, drifting in Grid 1 is like all I do on that game, because it's so hard to master. I turn all the assists off. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, it's definitely like one of my greatest gaming memories, you know? Just playing Dirt or Grid.
Dirt's always my filler game. Like, if I'm tired of playing a certain game or something, I'll just play Dirt.
Do you play it online?
I used to.
It's pretty fun online.
I got really upset and raged one day, and I will never play that game online again.
What happened?
You know how they got the things like if you hit people, you have like the red skull.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was in this one race and people just kept running me over, and it made my thing look like I was running over everybody. So I went with a group of other people racing, and they were already talking smack, like, dude, don't you run over nobody. And I did not touch anybody the entire race. Everybody was racing clean. And then right at the end, I was in like second place. The dude run me over, took me out, and they're all laughing about it after I've raced clean the entire time, and everybody else was. I was like, no, I'm never playing this online again.
That is pretty funny, though.
It's pretty much the same experience every time I play that game. Like, I will only play just like time trials or everybody's ghost where you don't hit each other. That's the only way I'll play it.
All right. And then this last bit here about N64. What were you getting at with that?
All my gaming stuff's been in storage for the past 2 months, and I've really been wanting to play some Banjo-Kazooie.
You're talking about the retro stuff, getting that out. I don't know why, but just thought of that Pure Solar. Remember that game I was saying, and it was coming to Wii U.
Yeah,
but it comes out March 25th, so it's here in like 10 days.
It's a solid game.
So I'll be playing it. I'll tell you, you guys what I think of it. I'm excited for it because I don't know. It's been a while since I've played like a classic Japanese RPG. Like I'm playing Bravely Default. Oh, I love it. But it's still like, it feels definitely but it's still like has a bunch of new stuff in it, but good new stuff. Like the graphics are just great. But I still like just want to like not a shitty, but I want to play a 16-bit JRPG.
It's Pure Solar is well put together. It doesn't. I mean, you can't expect it to have the greatest story in the world. It has a decent one. It's not fantastic, but it's very well put together. The battle system, I like the battle system, and I liked it. But played it on Genesis with the disc for Sega CD. Like you play it on Genesis, but you have CD audio while you're playing it. That was awesome.
That's pretty cool.
It is all. That's the first game ever for.
But I'm really excited to play my Wii U. Here's the thing though, it's like, so I can't even play other consoles. Like I'm getting so used to my Wii U and having my little gamepad, right? And just I guess because I play my 3DS a lot too, I'm getting so used to having a sort of personal screen or the sort of portable thing. Like I know it looks really nice playing like a full 1080p game like on the TV. But, like, being able to just, like, watch something and play something, I'm getting, like, really spoiled by the Wii U. So, like, Pure Solar is going to be perfect for me just, like, playing that while I can just, like, listen, I don't know. Just, like, I can get more involved in it, it seems like, whenever I'm just laying in bed and I have, like, because it's a nice display, too. It's HD, you know, full-on display right there in the gamepad. So I'm not losing anything graphic-wise. And I'm getting a full-on experience, but I'm able to still be in an extremely comfortable, like, it's like when you're a kid and you had your Game Boy and you're underneath the covers just playing, you know, and you get sucked into the world.
That used to be the only time I played handhelds. I would only play them. Like, when it's time to go to bed, I go to bed early so I could play whatever handheld I had for an extra hour or something.
So it's bringing all this back, and I'm really loving, like, my Wii U a ton. And it's like, I just wish every game would just be on that system. Like, it would be so my preferred way of playing anything. Because it's not tedious at all. How is it tedious to sit there and use your TV and play with the controller? But it's just awesome having your own sort of personal world. I don't know. Like, I'm really getting hooked with it, and it's really starting to spoil me. So, anyway, but that's it, and we're going to take another break here, guys, and when we come back, we're going to go into our History as Gamer segment and end it off there, and see you guys in a bit. Guys, we're gonna start off here. Games we would love, or just a game you just would die a remake for, and I usually prefer a new IP over a remake, a sequel, easily, hands down, always, right, or most of the time. But there's always that one game like where you're just praying they would just redo. And with just like a current gaming engine and just like being completely blown away by it, and you would just, I don't know, suck all the dicks in the world just to play it.
Whoa.
Not that far. At least not for Ben. I mean, maybe
just turned into a Louis C.K. bit.
All right. But is there anything you can think of to where you just were just dying to see again?
See remade? I'm not. I'm weird. I'm not a big fan of remakes.
There's got to be something. Like there has to be something. There has to be. Like it doesn't have to be like a favorite game or anything. Just something that I guess would more too like would just be better nowadays than maybe it just didn't work that well back then because of the technology they had. And if they had the technology they had today, how much better they'd pull it off. See what I'm saying? Like I'm pretty sure you could think of a game that would fit this.
The original Metal Gear, maybe.
Yeah, that's actually an amazing answer. Because think how that would be like if it played the exact same, right? But it just like.
I mean, it could just be a simple game, like a top-down 3D game, third person. You don't have to put a lot into it, just update it.
Because a big issue is like at the time you can get immersed into it because it looks so great for that time. When you play it now, like there's no mouse, like it's just really sort of like. It didn't age well, the first one at least.
Oh, I can still play it.
No, I can too. I play it all the time still, but you know what I mean. Like, if they were to actually have, like, let's say, like how Snake looks now, or just like, or even just Metal Gear Solid 2, like how he looked in that, but just all done with the first one. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I just don't want to give the typical answer for Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it's.
They teased at that for so long,
and it's the only thing I want, though. That's it. Like I
pretty much believe.
I would cry if that came through, like, because how. Okay, this is what really pissed me off because you probably didn't play it, but the Dirge Cerberus game on PS2, it was a Final Fantasy VII like spin-off.
I have it. Yeah.
Okay.
I do have it.
But when you beat it, at the very end, like
I did beat it.
Okay, so you know how he's in the cave with Lucrezia, Vincent is, and he walks out of the cave, and it's that open world map. Final Fantasy VII, but you see everything in full HD glory. And when I saw that world, and it was the exact open world map, Final Fantasy VII, but just in HD and amazing looking trees and graphics and mountain display and everything, like my jaw just hit the floor. And I was like, I would do anything to actually just see a game and it looked like that.
I would only be satisfied with the 7 remake if they included everything. I'm talking about Crisis Core, Advent Children. If they included everything.
Do it all in there.
That's the only way I'm satisfied. Crisis Core, the story was fantastic.
What do you mean? Like, would you like? Is it all just one game and it just sort of like plays out? Do you pick the games? Like, what do you mean? And you just redo everything, or do they all just compile it into one game?
Well,
like
Crisis Core, leads directly into the story.
Yeah.
If they would start with the beginning of the Crisis Core and then at least just go through 7.
The problem is the way that game plays compared to the way game 7 plays.
Oh no, they don't have to keep the same. They just keep the story. They don't have to keep the mechanic.
Okay. So keep it a classic JRPG like 7 is, right? Keep that gameplay.
Yeah.
But just throw in the Crisis Core story, all that bit, throw that in the beginning, and then right where that ends, that's where the actual game starts anyway. So, and it just continues on, and then it goes all through the other sequels. It goes to the Advent Children, the Dirge of Cerberus, and it's all just one big game.
That would be the most epic RPG ever.
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
Because Crisis, I don't know a lot of people that played Crisis Core, but the story is really good.
I loved it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you think that story is good, dude, it doesn't even come close to 7's story.
I know 7's story. I watched my friend pretty much play the whole thing
of Crisis Core. Like, and Crisis Core is amazing. I know that. But anyway, okay. Well, I love that. So what I would love is if I can get some emails sent to it, and you can see it here in the podcast. If you're looking on iTunes, it'll be right there. The email to send a question to, and I would love to see you guys what you just a one game remake wanting to do. Send the email, but it's like this email at gmail.com. Send an email to that. That's the show, and send me what to do. And if I get any emails, I will definitely bring them up in the next podcast. And I'm hoping if I start to get a good amount of listeners and a bunch of emails coming in, having an email segment, I'd love to do that. So
Yeah, even if you want the Elder Scrolls Online remade already, we can talk about that.
Because
They haven't fully released yet. They need to go ahead and start over.
That's funny. Okay, and so another thing I wanted to talk about too in this last segment is mindset of a collector, and what I mean by that is you have I guess there's some what you call a gamer, but you just have people, and they they're sort of not casual game, but they play specific series and that's sort of it, and they really don't play anything outside of their core 3 or 4 games. But I'm talking more the people that I guess have been growing up with Super Nintendo, Sega, going all up in that, having a bunch of games, having a bunch of consoles, and just really engulfing themselves in sort of the gamer world. And so when you're going to any of these thrift stores or pawn shops or just even game shops, like just or even when you walk into Target and you may see something off the corner of your eye, like, damn, like just that mindset when it comes to that, it's like just how different it is for, I guess, between the two tiers of those gamers, and I don't know just how crazy, and you're constant on the look whether you think it or not, right? Let's say you're going to a shopping center for whatever reason, you're going around, you're not even thinking of games or whatever, but it could be like you be in a bookstore and there would be a random, sometimes they have little games there in a bookstore, and you'll instantly just see it, you'll automatically just start going through them just to make sure there's nothing that you missed, and it's such a weird little quirk that a lot of gamers do, and I don't know. I just think it's funny, and I was thinking about that yesterday because I was doing this, and my girlfriend was getting on my case. Girlfriend, now wife. I'm used to saying girlfriend for years, and it's not girlfriend, wife. She'd probably kill me for me saying that, but she's not going to listen to this anyway because it'll bore her to tears. But how do you feel when it comes to this mentality? Like, I don't know. Do you do this often? Like, is it always a thing in the back of your mind?
Dude, every time I go to a pawn shop, a game store, or something, dude, I will find stuff that may pique my interest a little bit, and I will sit there with my phone and stand in front of the shelf. They're looking at me like I'm stupid.
I'm sorry, I was drinking, and I almost spilled my water everywhere when you said that. Because I did the same shit all the time. I would pull up my phone and start looking it up and seeing if it's shit or not.
Yeah, like I'll find something neat and look it up. Oh, this game's crap. Never mind. But I mean, I don't care if it's rare or not. Yeah, rare games are cool. But if I'm not going to play it and enjoy it, then I don't want it. So I'm always looking for something that would be fun to play. Like there's all kind of games I could have got that were just rare, but if they're not fun, I don't want them.
I was in a Goodwill actually a few days ago, and I came across it was some Sonic games. It was PC. It was PC CD-ROMs, and it was what were the Sonic games? God, Sonic CD. I know was one of them, and there was like 2 other. It was a Sonic and Knuckles one, and it was one other.
PC?
Yeah, and so I didn't
even
even know. Again, I didn't know that either. So I'm like, oh wow. But then I look on my phone and I see that's extremely common, and they're like selling on eBay for like $2 a piece. So I guess what it was is it was like a certain, and it's like distributed by some weird brand, and I guess they just sort of like kind of did emulation with them, but it's not like you have to run an emulator in the game. The game just runs, but it's not like a one-on-one experience like the game was on its original console. It's somewhat of a emulation. So it's kind of a cheap shot at it. So I just was like, and I put it down. But it's just an example. I had to look it up because when I first saw it, I was like, ooh, that's awesome.
What I learned a lot about PC games, like lately I've been trying to find PC versions of console games I used to love, like the first Metal Gear Solid, Red Faction, and stuff like that. When you get into finding rarer games for PC, even though they're kind of scarce, that doesn't really mean that the prices are going to be insane. Like, PC's really fun to collect for because you find stuff so cheap, like a few bucks for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because, well, what it is even if something's really rare, right, the demand for old PC games isn't high. Right?
No, not at all.
That's why you can still find things cheap, because the demand isn't high. So
the most expensive games I have for PC that are older are Final Fantasy 7 and 8. I think I paid like $40 and $45 for them. But for games that are kind of hard to find, that's not a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. The console versions like Final Fantasy 7 and 8, are they somewhat low in number, or is it more of just
popularity?
Their popularity. Okay.
Everybody wants them. Yeah. I think the prices went down on them a little bit, but I mean, you're still going to be in between $20 and $40 depending on condition.
I was at my little brother's and he found some games at my mom's here that we used to have, and it was Legend of Dragoon, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Mega Man Legends. And I'm just like, damn, we were into some good games even as kids.
And Legend of Dragoon is wonderful. I have the copy of Legend of Dragoon I have is the non-greatest hits version, which the artwork on the actual discs on those is fantastic. But the greatest thing I love about that game, the copy I have, I paid $1 for it for a complete copy, non-greatest hits, and that's what collecting's all about.
Oh, you know what I found? I found Frogger, the first one, PS1. I love the shit out of that game. And I also found a Castlevania Symphony of the Night, like not greatest hits, or the Black Label one. That's actually worth a lot right now. I think it runs for like $50-$60. And then I found Gran Turismo 2. And that game I played the shit out of. But I found all three of those. It was like $2 or $3. And it was like in some random bookstore in Seattle. So it was like... So I thought that was really cool, but again, like it's really cool and weird that you're just always sort of in that mode and always looking, always on the lookout.
Every time I go somewhere, I'm in that mode. Well, not necessarily like a Walmart or a Target, but if I go to a place that sells used goods, I immediately go into collect mode.
Even Walmart and Target, I will still go because it's not anything old, but you can still see, like, let's say it's like a Japanese RPG for PS3 or something but you still wouldn't normally see. Sometimes they just get a random game in here and there, like especially DS, because DS is still popular and big right now, and not, in 3DS as well. But even regular DS games, you'll find like a rare DS game here and there, a Dragon Quest or something like that. And you'll go and be like, wow, this game's actually worth like $40 right now, and they're selling it for like 10. And there you go. And so, because I have a 3DS, I still have that DS mode, like looking around too. So I usually go over there, and then I look for PS3 because they'll sometimes have like a kind of rare PS3 game that just randomly on their shelf. So that's something to keep in mind. Mm-hmm.
When I lived in Baton Rouge, there was a play and trade that was like 10 miles from my house. Those guys knew when I walked in the door, I wasn't looking for the stuff on the shelf. They always had stuff in the back that wasn't put out yet for whatever reason. I was like, hey, dude, come here. I got this in the back. You want to see it? And they would get me every time. I'd always buy something.
That's awesome.
Like, they had a copy of Popful Mail for Sega CD. I don't know if you know.
What is it?
Popful Mail.
No.
It's like $100 game.
Wow.
For Sega CD. And They're like, hey, dude, it's like a secret. I got this. I got this behind the desk. You want to check it out? It's like, sure. Like, how much you want for this? It's like, I don't know. I've been watching eBay auctions, but I take 50 for it right now. Like, you take what? I take 50. I passed it up. I walked outside and I got in my truck and I sat down for a minute. And I got up and went right back in there and got it.
You're like, yep.
It's
I would totally gonna regret this if I go.
Oh, I'd have been so mad at myself if I. And that same day, I was excited. The reason I walked out because I was excited because I found a game that I really wanted, Truxton for Sega Genesis, the vertical shoot 'em up.
Oh, I love vertical shooters.
I got it for like $20, and I found Riding Trad for Genesis 2, another vertical shoot 'em up for Genesis at that same place, and I walked out with those, really happy, and then I was like, well, I'm not gonna get Pop from Mail because I already found two things I really wanted, and then
yeah, I played the shit out of Riding 3, so.
Oh, I love those games.
But I'm in need, so if you know one, like, on top of your head, I'm in need of a good vertical shooter right now, like, hardcore. I've been looking for a really good one. But, I keep finding, like, really dumb, like, kind of too out there Japanese bullet hells to where it's just, like, but it's not even that good of graphics. It feels like a Flash game or something. And I'm just like, ugh.
I did have a ton on my computer, but I have a lot of, like, on retro consoles, too. I love them. That's like secretly one of my favorite. I don't care if
it's even a console like Sega or something like that. I'll emulate the shit of it. I don't care. I
got well, Earth Defense ain't that great. That's a unlicensed Genesis game. I did a review on that. I'm trying to find that other one. Jamestown. You played Jamestown, huh?
I did play Jamestown. That's great, but I already beat it. I need something else. Anyway, just whenever you think of one, just send me a message because I want to get in. I want to get into a new version.
What have I played lately? I've played so many lately. I always forget about those when I talk about games. I don't know why.
It's one of my favorite genres. I wouldn't say my favorite, but probably like I think Japanese RPGs are my favorite genre. I think, and then 2 would be vertical shooters, 3 would be platformers.
Oh, see Truxton? If you ever played Truxton,
I
reckon you play that. That's awesome.
How do you even spell that?
Truxton. That, okay. And the same people made another one called Fire Shark, and that's really fun too.
Have you played Castle of Shimigami?
Who?
It's called Castle of Shimigami 3, and that one's on Wii. But you can get like 1 and 2. It's Mobile Light Force was the first one on PS1 in the States. But the actual game is, again, Castle of Shimigami. But we translated it somehow to Mobile Light Force on PS1.
I don't know how that happens.
But it was on PS1 and Sega Saturn, I think. If I am correct. I don't know. It was a Sega. Maybe Sega CD, Sega Saturn, one of those two.
Probably Saturn.
But that's it. Mobile Light Force. That's the first one. Amazing. I beat it like a billion times. But I've been playing the third one now a lot, and I really love it. But that's a good Wii game. You got your Wii now. It's an amazing Wii game. It's one of my favorite Wii games.
I forgot about that Wii.
Sin and Punishment 2. You gotta play that too.
Yeah, I gotta get that thing out. I completely forgot I had it again.
There's a lot of good rare games on Wii.
It's weird since I got that Wii for free. I keep forgetting that I even have it.
But yeah, Sin and Punishment 2. That's like a must play. So it's even better than the first. I don't know if you even played the first, but.
No, I watched a lot of videos on it.
So good. I actually paid $10 because you had to pay a little more upcharge for an N64 game on the Wii and this was before I hacked it because it was a Japanese import. But they released it on there, and I was like, fuck yeah, I snagged that up because that game's actually worth a lot too if you can get like the Japanese N64 game. So $10 was a steal, right? Even if it is virtual. But that game, I played the shit out of that game so many times. I love it. Matt from TGN actually recommended that to me, I think, and I loved it. So I beat that a billion times, and then whenever second one was announced, I was hugely looking forward to it. I played it; it's even better. So, great games. So, anyway, since we're running out of time, we're just going to have our special segment on next week's episode where we just talk about our gaming past and, way back on the NES days going forward and why we got what system and what games we really played. That's sort of a big moment for us at the time and sort of what created us to our current gamer mindset and status that we are now. Anyway, look forward to the episode and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.